searches, even in B2B, even in logistics, are starting in AI first. The citation is different than a listing in Google search or Bing search. You're cited within an actual answer in an AI model. So questions are they typing in? ChatGPT. The age groups that are starting in search are 24, 26 and younger, and then 52 and older. You might be missing opportunities if you wait. They're great for brand awareness in B2B. They don't do a whole lot for converting to new sales. That investment level will be about 10% of your estimated annual gross revenue. And that's going to feel like a big number to people in this industry.
The guy with the blue shirt, with the hat.
And
everyone has this guy on the website.
I know.
I always see the long dashes on AI. It's not fooling anyone anymore. The largest contract we ever had in our business came through someone finding us online. We had never done reefer trucking before.
Yep.
And they called us multiple times to respond because I didn't think we could do it.
So it's going to feel like messy,
Yeah.
but let's just do it. Let's just take the jump. Hi, I'm Stephanie Alter, founder and CEO of Alter Marketing, and you are watching the Last2First Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our next episode on the Last2First Podcast. We bring you the greatest, the latest innovators in the last mile space. Today is a treat because we're not just talking about last mile logistics and transportation. It's how you actually market, how you build a brand, how you make sure your customers know who you are before you actually want to do business with them. So I'm happy to be joined today with Miss Stephanie Alter, who is the founder and CEO of Alter Marketing Services. Alter Marketing Services, did I say that right? No,
Yeah,
Alter
you did.
Marketing?
Yes, you did.
Alter Marketing Services, Solutions. She's got all the solutions in place. Stephanie, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Jason. Thank you.
I'm glad you are here. We've been talking for a while. I'm glad to have you on camera with me today. We've done some stuff inside the huddle before, but just delightful to have you here with me.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with just a opening question because I think it's important to kind of set the stage with this.
Okay.
How do you define marketing?
How do I define marketing? Such a good question. I think I would say that at its core, marketing is connecting with your audience in meaningful ways, right? I think that just, if we look at across channels and formats, if you're really keeping that as your North Star, then you're going to be successful at marketing.
Yeah. And so I want to get to your origin story and background, but just for anyone in the audience who may not be familiar with you and your team and what you guys do, let me just briefly describe Alter Marketing and kind of the focus you have within the industry.
Right. So Alter Marketing, or sometimes we just call it Alter for short. Okay. We are a niche marketing agency focused exclusively on freight transportation and logistics. So our book of business includes everyone from motor carriers and final mile and courier services to logistics tech companies to transportation industry associations.
In under 2 years, Last2First has grown from zero to reaching over 500,000 people across the last mile industry. And what's even better, that half of every episode gets watched from start to finish. That's operators like you tuning in because we skip the fluff and get straight to how the best in our industry are actually solving problems. If you're not subscribed yet, season 7 is the time to start. And there's more. Subscribe today and get free access to our L2F huddle. It's a community with a curated news feed built just for last mile operators. Has a searchable library for every past episode we've done by keyword, and you get direct access to vendors who support our industry. It's free and it's built for you. Subscribe to Last2First and sign up at L2Fhuddle.com. Thank you. I love about this conversation we have today is because most people in this space, they don't have an expertise in marketing. They don't really come from that background.
Right.
They're more operators, probably been in a business maybe multiple generations. And so I think it's a missed opportunity a lot we see in this space. We'll get into that conversation, but there's not very many marketing companies focused on freight and transportation. Would you agree?
Correct. Yes, we do have some peers and colleagues in the space, and we've met them over the years, but I think that there's a real opportunity these days just for niche marketing in general across different industries and sectors. And that's especially true for logistics and freight transportation. Yeah, just because of kind of like the background and history that you just mentioned, which is like not traditional to have a firm marketing department and a strategic marketing investment up front. It's a very operationally driven industry. And marketing has often been sort of a reactive, out of necessity kind of function. And it's actually my vision and our vision as an agency to change that.
Yeah. So talk about how did you get into marketing, kind of your early entry point into it, and then really the family ties. I know you have a background in the industry.
Correct.
Because how do you marry those two kind of expertises together?
Yeah, it's kind of a fun, sweet story. My first career was in education, and I was a teacher in New York City for over a decade. And in making the transition from teaching to my career in marketing, I started working as a freelance marketer in 2015. I do have family ties to the industry. My brother owns, operates, and founded a logistics business, regional carrier and 3PL company based in the Southeast. And so I started working freelance for their company. Having had him run this company for so long, I feel like I had a firm foundation and understanding of the industry prior to joining forces.
Yeah.
And the marketing thing is simple. Like, I honestly think like there's a lot of expertise to be developed and a lot of nuance and a lot of skill sets. But at its core, as I mentioned, it's connecting with your audience in meaningful ways. So if you're a good listener, if you're a strong communicator, if you've got some creativity, and innovative thinking and strategic thinking, I think that you can be a successful marketer. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, so many soft skills that I bring from teaching help, me and the business be successful today.
You were a public school teacher.
I was.
In New York City.
Yeah. Some of the best times of my life, actually. It's very, very, I learned so much about people and about time management and about adaptive thinking. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
The One Big Beautiful Bill that passed Congress in 2025 cut taxes on tips, overtime, and extended tax cuts for corporations of all sizes. The one group that didn't get a targeted break was independent contractors. How is SCI responding to this?
The Flex Act is the answer. That's how SCI is responding. It's the Freelancer Expense and Tax Relief Act. It's a proposed federal tax bill that creates a statutory framework inside the Internal Revenue Code for qualifying independent contractor arrangements. It gives businesses and contractors a defined, structured test that they can satisfy before any money changes hands, guaranteeing protection from IRS reclassification if they meet the standard. SCI can help. Follow our website where we'll be posting updates on this, as well as talk with your local government officials, because it's all about small business in your communities. Thank you.
So you said you started off freelancing with your brother's company.
Mm-hmm.
What were maybe the first couple of projects you worked on, the first opportunities or maybe gaps you saw? Kind of, would you say, hey, I think there's an opportunity to focus on this here?
Right.
That kind of got you going on within that organization.
Right. So one of our initial challenges, and I think that this is just ties directly into the origin story of the business and what I'm seeing in the industry today, but this was early on in 2015, was the desire for them to have a stronger digital presence and more online touch points with their current customer base to nurture that base, as well as their prospective new customers and shippers that they wanted to interact with. And so what does that look like? What does that mean? It means a strong social media presence that's strategic and repetitive and thorough and multi-layered in its storytelling of who your brand is and who your business is, and what problems are you solving as a company and how do you solve them best, right? And so we started with social media, and we kind of from there built what I call the content engine, which is you want to have your storytelling be anchored in some kind of piece that's accessible to everybody. So a blog post is a great example of that, right? And if you're, developing a blog post, then you can kind of tease out some of those solutions and proof points in a social media campaign that's tied to it. And then you're going to connect with the same audience in their email inbox by having some strategic email marketing as well. So, with the big challenge initially in those days, where they were trying to connect with their audience and get in front of them, in the online space in a more digital way in the earlier stages of the buyer journey. We were able to help them do that. And the engine that we built started bringing in qualified inbound leads. And we did it for so many years. It really does create this compounding flywheel effect. And it's still strong today. And so that was really exciting. So I would call it content marketing in a nutshell. I kind of broke it down for you early, but I would call it setting up a content marketing program.
Got it. But talking about like it's really the psychology of the last mile owner, because I'll be honest, like when I was operating our business, as you said earlier, marketing was kind of like an afterthought. We didn't really think about it much. The way we were taught to market was go to a networking event, go walk into the business, try to meet someone, build a relationship there, and try to win the business.
Yes.
Kind of more of the, guerrilla marketing, tactical, in-your-face type approach.
Right.
Not much of a digital presence, but obviously you've seen a lot of success with that.
Yeah.
Why is it important to try to, two questions. One, what do you see when you look around kind of the last mile or transportation industry, when you're talking to owners, what's the kind of current state of marketing within last mile?
Yeah.
And then how do you get the focus into the early journey of a buyer online?
Right. So one thing that we know, just like a quick data point, about 80% of logistics companies' target audience, their buyers, their customer base is now searching online. They're trying to discover new logistics partners. They're researching and vetting them, right? And they want a more self-directed buyer journey. So think about consumer-driven marketing. Nowadays, all we like to do is like look for like a new wellness product online, right? You do your research online, you can order it, and you can have that whole online, decision-making and buying process happen exclusively in a self-directed manner. That shift is starting to bleed over into B2B and starting to make its way into the commercial transportation and logistics sector, right? And so that boots on the ground, guerrilla marketing, handshake and a referral goes a long way. Yeah. We know that's still true today, right? That's not going away. But I think what's happening is the need to prove yourself to get discovered online because of that self-directed, buyer process that's happening online now. You want to be discovered and you need to prove yourself online in the earlier stages so that when the in-person meeting or the online meeting, the handshakes happen, their intent is already so high that you're really just in a place of working out the details and closing the deal. Yeah. So we're kind of just moving the buying process into a digital space first, right? So, in a practical example, think about it this way. You're a last mile company owner and someone refers you to a customer, right? So that customer's like, that company sounds very interesting. The first thing that they're going to do is they're going to go online. Sure. They're going to see what your footprint is online. They're going to look on LinkedIn. They're going to look for your website. They might look to see if you've been cited in some sort of industry journal or article or other point of reference, right? So they're going to do some research and vetting. That's just a natural thing that's going to happen.
Do you know exactly what they're looking for at that first early onset of like just discovery?
Yeah.
There's some key things that...
Well, yeah. It's a great question. They want to see if like your basic framework is going to provide the solutions that they need. So geographic footprint, service lines, like all of that mainstay stuff. But beyond that, we know that they're looking for proof of success early and upfront. So the way that I think about it is this. You've got a buying group. The decision makers might be a transportation procurement officer or a director of operations on the shipper side of things, right? Maybe you've got some risk and compliance people, giving their input. Yeah. Maybe, I don't even know, finance, IT. You might have a very diverse buying.
Your TMS doesn't have it. Your third-party admin system doesn't have it. A system of record missing the most important data isn't a system of record at all. Credentials and compliance records are trapped in silos. Result: an uncredentialed driver gets dispatched. In life sciences, that mistake can kill a company. Big Safe. Complete the record.
But they all have specific criteria that they're looking for. They want to know what kind of technology you're using. They want to know about trace and track and exceptions management, right? They obviously want to know about your on-time delivery rate and metrics and all that stuff. Maybe they have a special cultural piece they're looking for in how you do business and how you communicate and interact with them. So all of those proof points, we want to get those in front of those decision makers before you're at the sales pitch and conversations stage, right? They're going to look for those things. So that might look like a case study that they can find on LinkedIn. That might look like some things that you're writing about culture and you're posting about on your blog, on your website. That might look like some statistics about on-time delivery in a LinkedIn campaign. But you want to make sure that they can find those things early on because of that desire for a self-directed vetting and research process. They're kind of like going down the checklist, right? Yeah. And we can't wait any longer until you're having that in-person meeting and conversation to deliver answers to all those things. You might be missing opportunities if you wait. Yeah. Right. So
I love that. Yeah. It's, we talk sports a lot, or I draw analogies from business and sports. You've probably heard some of this stuff before. And when I think about marketing now, because I didn't think about it at the time when I was operating, although we did towards the end of my career with QSET started to invest in some marketing. And we did have some ROI in that, which we'll get to kind of how you help companies identify the ROI.
Right.
But I kind of, my analogy I use for sports is like, we just finished with the draft, NFL draft this past weekend.
Yes.
It's kind of like you when someone's scouting a player, right, just like a customer is scouting your business, you want to have film, you want to have tape.
Yes.
Right? You want to have a lot of information out there they can kind of sink their teeth into before they actually meet you in person.
Totally, yeah.
Right? So the marketing piece is kind of like your tape, if you will.
Exactly. That's a great analogy.
It's getting your reps out there where they can get a sense of who you are.
Yes.
And hopefully positively warm them up to you.
Yes.
So that meeting goes a lot smoother. It's an easier and higher close rate on the sale.
Totally. 100%. And just like with the tape, they're watching how you move on the field, how you're reading the field, right? Like how you're making decisions. It's the same way with your marketing, story and your collateral and everything that you're putting out there. It can't just be that concrete stuff. Like it's more than this is where we operate. These are the types of vehicles that we have. This is our model. We serve these verticals or these industries. That concrete stuff needs to be answered, but that doesn't say how you do it. So what companies need to be thinking about is these are the problems that we solve, and this is our way of going about doing it, and here's proof that we do it best or really well. Like we do it in a way that's going to be successful for you. Yeah. Right.
Let's talk about like authenticity. Because here's one of my gripes when I see good websites sometimes.
Yeah.
I see people, it says all the right things, all the boxes are checked. I see on-time performance, I see geography, but it's very vanilla. It looks just like a copycat of another website.
Yeah.
And so when I'm browsing websites all the time too, and what always seems to catch my eye is when I see a person, preferably a leader, on video, or it's a real customer testimonial, but it's showing some uniqueness and something that's unique to that organization about how they solve their problems. Maybe it's a process. Maybe it's just using a little satire. Maybe it's some comedy involved in it. Yeah. But it's something unique that's not just, okay, here's a black and white script of here's who I am in A through Z.
Yeah.
Do you find the same thing, like the authenticity cut through some of the noise?
Yes. You and I both know that it's pretty easy to get a website up these days, right? Especially with AI technology and tools. It's also easy to run content marketing if you're using a lot of technology and AI. You can get a very vanilla, a very surface level, set of content and storytelling out there about your business. But I've seen and we've found that if you're getting real stories and real, like, let's call it pictures and videos of what's happening on the ground floor at your business and getting those leaders behind, a camera or even writing down their ideas and sharing, authentically, this is an example of business that we've done. This is a problem that we're helping to solve. These are the people that are doing it. That is something that's been really successful with our clients, is doing a lot of people storytelling. So let's get some of the package handlers and warehouse team members, behind a camera and let's do some short little videos and let's let them say in their own words what it means to work for the company and how they like to provide high levels of client success. And what's their role in that? Because, you know, in this business, like there's so many hands that touch a successful delivery, right?
Yep.
So what might that look like in a practical way? Let's try to find a way to get real pictures, right? We don't need to use stock photography and everything.
The guy with the blue shirt, with the hat.
And
like
so
everyone has this guy on the website.
I know.
Please
like
take him off.
Jason, you know, so if you're
tired of seeing this
looking
guy.
at like iStock or Adobe
God.
or
Yes.
Canva Pro licensed images,
Yeah.
there's not enough stock photography in the industry. So if you're using stock, and we are for plenty of our clients, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you have the opportunity to take real photography, even though it might not look as polished, it's authentic. And that really strikes a chord with people because there's the same pictures get circulated over and over again.
They do.
And again, it's just, you know, it's okay. It's okay. But if you can go on site, if you can take real pictures, grab some videos, get people to self-submit them from your business, probably got to run it through compliance sometimes first. You want to make sure everybody's buttoned up, you know, on the dock floor and behind the wheel before you're sitting in pictures. But honestly, it goes a long way. And in terms of just like marketing success and the data behind that, they do perform better. So if you put those authentic pictures on LinkedIn or you're showcasing people on LinkedIn, you're going to get better, you know, reach and better engagement with that type of stuff. And I think the same is true, you know, for your website too. You want your pictures to be a little bit more polished and edited and look, you know, a little more professional. But if you can get some of the real stuff on there too, there's a place for that on your website as well.
Yeah, 'cause I think that, you know, to your point, a lot of times just when I'm posting stuff, I see higher engagement reaction when it's kind of raw, unpolished,
People
unproduced
want that, right?
pictures.
Like we want the real stuff, right?
real
The
stuff.
connection.
Yes.
Especially as people have gotten more and more savvy and software and technology has gotten a lot easier for you to put your own stuff online, right? It did go to like this very like vanilla look, right? And everything was like a stock photo and it's very professional. But I think people are desiring to kind of like break through that a little bit and get back to more like, here's the real me connecting with the real you.
All right, so when you're talking to prospective owners or leaders in the space about marketing, what's the kind of initial reaction you get? Do you get a sense that the industry's like, oh yeah, I'm ready to market, I've been waiting to do this? Or is it more like, tell me, like, are you pulling them or are they pushing you to go?
Okay, so
Let's talk CXT for a sec. Look, in an industry like ours, there's always noise. Old stories, old reputations, people talking about the past. But CXT isn't focused on that. They're focused on how operators perform today. As compliance gets tighter and operations get more complex, the old tools, they just can't keep up. And CXT gives you a clearer picture, real-time dashboards, performance tracking, and smarter autonomous routing that surfaces issues early in the game and improves outcomes over time. That's where the industry's headed. Here's where you should be at, cxtsoftware.com.
It's changed a little bit over the last few years. Okay. It was about 2020. It was before Alter Marketing was officially formed as a business and I was still freelancing.
Okay.
But there was a lot of interest in, I want to get out there online, particularly on social media. But like, I know I needed stronger digital presence. So can you help me get there? And, you know, I think that interest kind of led to a little bit of like, well, okay, let's just get on LinkedIn. Let's do some social media. And so there was opportunities to kind of create a social media program, right, where you're having LinkedIn campaigns and they're running repetitively. So that's a little more strategic, right? But that same, you know, client base or companies that we interact and we work with, let's see, I think that it was more like almost like this feeling of, we built a website 10 years ago and we create some sales collateral when our salespeople tell us that they need it. And when we go to a trade show or an event, we kind of get our act together and like get some stuff prepped real quick. And, you know, and they're like, that's what we do to date.
We can hodgepodge.
Yeah. And a lot of times when people come to us initially, especially when we're at like a trade show or something, they kind of have this feeling of, we know we haven't done it enough and we think we need to do X, Y, and Z. Like we need to update our website or we need to, you know, get an updated flyer. And my approach and our team's approach is a little bit more like, well, let's take a step back and let's try to like be a bit more strategic with that. What are we trying to accomplish? What is our end goal in sight? And then let's create a strategy and a budget and expectations to get you there, right? Because it might be that you need to update your website, but what you might need to do is just a different like kind of storytelling, that makes sure maybe you need to kind of like revamp the story that you're telling your customers. So it started from a place of, we know we need to do more. We think we need to do X, Y, and Z. How much is that going to cost? And that's what I would call kind of like siloed reactive marketing, right? Out of necessity.
Yep.
And it's a very cost-centered mindset. What my endeavor is, and my team is on board with, and what our goal is as a company is let's kind of flip that mindset to strategic marketing. What's our end goal and what's our means to get there? And what kind of investment do we need to make in marketing to generate that kind of revenue at the end of the day, right? So just flipping the mindset and flipping the approach a little bit.
Well, it's a great point because in that flipping of the mindset, that's where I'd imagine a lot of the friction is at initially, because the way we have marketed in the past has been very, it hasn't been a holistic plan.
Yes.
Right. So even back in, before we sold our business, I think we were spending maybe 2%, something like that, of our budget on marketing, and it was blog posts. We hired a firm, kind of like an altar, that was helping us, and we would kind of meet with them twice a month and kind of go over a script and a plan. And the first thing that really frustrated me was I thought I was going to see immediate results. I thought that, okay, month one, you put it out there, by month two, I'm start seeing it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at month 5 and month 6, I'm like, I don't understand why I'm spending so much money on this.
Yes.
And I keep getting told, like, it takes time to kind of get it going. It takes time. And it did prove to be true. We ended up, probably the largest contract we ever had in our business came through someone finding us online.
Yeah.
It was a refrigerated trucking opportunity. We had never done reefer trucking before.
Yep.
But because we were promoting our expertise in cold chain solutions more in the medical space, the company thought we could be a good fit for this RFP.
Yeah.
And they called us multiple times to respond because I didn't think we could do it.
Yes.
And they're like, we see you guys are capable from your website.
Yeah.
And so obviously it became a full circle moment, and obviously the rest is history. But again, going back to your conversations with owners and looking at it from a financial standpoint, right? And I want to get to, I know you recently built a tool. Yep. That's probably the first question I will be asking if I'm on, okay, what does my investment look like? You talk about my goal setting. Well, I want to grow 10%.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you kind of dial that back and flip the script to say, okay, let's frame up what this looks like from an investment standpoint.
Yes.
And then we'll get to the ROI part of it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so we kind of start with talking about like, what's our end point? What are the goals that we're trying to achieve? And most people can answer that question. Most people do strategic planning annually, quarterly, whatever. Most people know what their business goals are. And, they're not like, there's a lot of, it's like, we want to grow in this vertical, or we're launching, 3 new service area locations. So we really want to promote, growth to fill capacity in those lanes, et cetera. Right. But once we identify that, then we start to look at, instead of looking at it as like, well, we need to do this menu of things and here's how much each thing costs, it's more like, let's take a look at your annual gross revenue. This is the new framework. And this is kind of like where we're going with this. And I think that once we get better at developing, some educational content around this framework, get our budget and ROI tool out there and start really using it and demoing it and experimenting with it with companies real time. I think it'll get better and better. But the idea is, let's look at marketing and your investment in marketing as a percentage of gross revenue. Okay. And what percentage is that? Well, Jason, like 2% is like super normal for the industry. In fact, anything from like 0.5 to 2%, which is a very modest.
So Sean, one thing I often hear in the industry about drop-off is not just speed, precision, but it's the care factor. Why is that an important part of what you do?
Yeah, it's our DNA. It's who we are. We have to care about the deliveries. Most of what we deliver is healthcare, and so there's a patient at the other end of those deliveries. And so the driver's got to care, dispatchers, customer care, customer account management, everybody's got to care about that delivery.
And how do you measure that or manage that to make sure it happens consistently day in and day out?
It's really a cultural thing. That's a hard thing to measure if people care. What you really are measuring is how successful people are in their roles and responsibilities. And if they're very successful, then that shows they care.
And that's the drop-off difference when your delivery partner actually takes the time to care about what's inside your package. Go to dropoff.com and work with the best in the business.
Investment marketing, but that's kind of benchmarking as pretty normal in the final mile sector, around larger commercial transportation and freight and logistics as a broader sector. You're getting into more of the 4 to 6 range, 4 to 6%. And then if you have a new service line or a location or a brand relaunch, you can get really aggressive with that, up to 10% for a shorter period of time. Okay. But it's really how, maybe aggressive isn't the right word, but how powerful do you want to be with your investment as a percentage of revenue? And then, marketing data and science kind of helps us make a decision about, okay, if we know that that's let's say that 2% is your number, we know that at that investment level, we want to make sure that your brand foundation is strong. Yep. And then email gives us the highest ROI without a doubt. And that might sound a little boring, but that's what the science and the data tells us. And so that's how we bring that type of marketing science into our recommendations and our strategy development.
Email marketing still is
truly the highest ROI, especially at a more modest investment level. Okay. And then we keep email marketing as a channel throughout once we build on. So do you want me to go through the levels with you? It's kind of fun to think about. Yeah, this is I actually enjoy this. I was an econ major in college. So
I'm going to get to that part. But let's go.
All right. So at a more modest investment level, less than 4%, we're going to start, or maybe 3% or less. We're going to focus on brand always. And the brand stuff can get a little expensive. You've built a brand before. You have to invest a lot up front, but it will last you a long time, and it carries everything else that you do. Yeah. You don't want to start driving people to your website if you haven't focused on building up those proofs of success and a strong brand message, in your website, right? So we start with brand. Brand can include everything from messaging and your logo and your name to where's your brand represented in your sales collateral, like a flyer and a pitch deck, business cards, email signatures, website, LinkedIn company page, etc. Right? From there, we add in email marketing, highest ROI. I think the average number is eventually, if done intentionally with the right budget over the right period of time, $42 in, revenue per email, right? So there's a number behind it, but there's a lot of science that tells us that you need to be investing in email first.
Okay.
And not just you're having your sales team send off one-off emails. That's different. We're talking about a strategic, campaign. Email nurture campaign or an email drip campaign, right? And so then after email, we start the content marketing. We start the blog. We start the social media. We start email that's content driven, and everything is answering what problem are we solving? How do we do it really well, right? Yeah. And everything kind of drives back to that blog so that it's your anchor piece or your reference point. And then after we start the content stuff early because it takes so long. You were given your example. Do you have any idea? Do you recall how long it took to start seeing results?
14, 15 months?
Yes.
A little over a year?
Yeah. So, the industry data says 6 to 9 months, but I think it takes closer to 9 to 12 for you to really start seeing results. But if you repeat that content marketing monthly and you're strategic about it, it is compounding once you start seeing inbound leads come in. Yes. It just gets better and better. It's like a flywheel, right?
Correct, yeah. In my experience, what happens is most companies, as the first place they look to cut costs. When there's any type of volatility in the P&L,
yes,
the first place to look is I'm gonna cut the marketing.
Yep,
and
it happens.
It's actually a little bit backwards thinking, and I've been victim. I've done it myself, where that's the first place to look to cut because it's okay, it's not contributing to the operation. But my argument, I would, in my business, I had a partner. He was more the ops guy. I was more the sales kind of VP guy.
Yeah.
And he would always say, look around the organization, we're a bunch of operators. I said, yeah, but an operator can only operate what we sell. Like
Yes.
you have to sell something to operate it.
Yes.
And so sometimes I think we get a little lost in that, and we think we're gonna cut the pipeline off. But to the point you're making, it really is the gift that can keep giving if you invest in it. It's kind of, you gotta. It's like growing a plant. You have to nurture that soil.
Truly, truly. And then it keeps giving back to you
Yeah.
once you've planted and it's developed its roots, right? And so that's why we start that content marketing in the early stages of an investment level to give it time to grow those roots and to grow. And then from there, then you can start doing your paid media. You can do your paid LinkedIn ad campaigns. If you want to invest at a little higher level, you can get into the search ads, Google ads, and that type of thing. So that's how it usually goes in terms of investment strategy.
Got it.
Yep.
And I was going to ask you about the mediums. You kind of covered the mediums just now. Speaking of AI, because I know one of the things I've heard you say before is you have to start thinking about making sure your brand shows up in AI searches, whether it's chat, whether it's Claude, whether it's Anthropic.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Like, is there a formal process to register myself in AI channels?
Yeah,
like,
that'd be awesome, right? Get on a list. It is, okay, so the exciting thing is that this is still a really new frontier. And so there's a lot of opportunity, right? And so if we get smart and we get invested in, we call it AEO, or answer engine optimization, just like search engine optimization, then we can get in front of it early, right? So it's a new frontier. You don't have to basically invest a lot to make progress. It's similar if you're doing smart SEO. If you're optimizing your content for search, I'll talk a little bit about breakdown like what that looks like. We tweak it a little bit for AEO. So let's start with the blog post again, right? Let's say that we have an 800 to 1,600 word blog post. We want to make sure a few things are in place technically so that it can start to get cited in those AI searches. Because a citation is different than a listing in Google search or Bing search, right? Like you're cited within an actual answer in an AI model. So if you think about ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity, they're giving like a really thorough answer, and then there's like those tiny little links off to the side under the sections. That's a citation, right? And so your offerings or your solutions might be recommended in an actual response from an LLM like ChatGPT, and then your kind of company or your brand or business would be cited in those little teeny tiny links that are kind of like at the footer of each section. Yep. But in order to be cited, we know that you need to be using like real natural language in your blog post or your content writing. You want to have everything extremely well structured. So lots of paragraphs, lots of sections, and each of those starts with some type of heading that is like a natural language question. So you want to write questions and answers like you would imagine your audience would be searching for. What types of questions are they typing in to ChatGPT? You want to have those questions as your section headers. That's like, a real easy way to start queuing in to being cited in AI search. And there's a whole host of other optimization techniques, but those are just a few examples of how you can start writing content for AI search. But searches are now starting, again, another just data point. We know that marketing data is showing us that searches, even in B2B, even in logistics, are starting in AI first. And there's a really interesting demographic breakdown. There was a research study that was done. I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact source, but interestingly enough, the age groups that are starting in search are, I think it was like 24, 26 and younger, and then 52 and older. And those are starting, really? I know that's a little surprising, right? Strange, yeah. But they're starting in the AI search models first. And then doing like your early stage discovery and research and vetting there, making a short list of interested partners, and then taking that short list to more direct searches online. So maybe going directly to your website, directly to LinkedIn, trying to learn a little bit more about you. So it's really important. The big lesson there is that it's really important to start to think about being cited in AI searches if you want to get discovered online.
Yeah. It's actually what I do first too before these interviews.
Yeah.
I have a conversation with my chat.
Yeah.
I say, hey, I'm interviewing Stephanie today.
Yeah. What do I need to talk about?
Tell me everything about her.
Yeah. I mean, it's very helpful. It's very interesting. But it's important for us as business leaders to understand that the psychology of like what's happening there and how people are preparing for their meetings with you, how people are trying to research you and what they might be looking for, and where are the gaps? What are you not telling them that they need to know, right? And then how can we get in front of that by providing answers to anticipate those questions and try to provide answers to them early on and upfront.
So in addition to making sure you're showing up in the right places, the new frontier that's happening, AI, how important is it for the actual leader to show up? Like whether it's, it's the CEO, the founder.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I often think that it's outsourced. Like I'm gonna hire someone, maybe it's a spokesperson, maybe it's someone else in the organization.
Yeah.
But it's not the actual person that is typically on the closing end of that deal, like when they're going to close the client. And I think it's a miss.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because of, just some folks are just uncomfortable getting on camera or being front and center, or just have the lack of training and doing it. But one, do you see the same thing? And two, do you think that more leaders should try to get themselves front and center in these spaces? Yeah.
Well, I think that you already kind of alluded to it there, but like if you think it's a miss, perhaps it's a miss because, if I have something of value that I'm trying to get from point A to point Z, right, or point B, I want to know who ultimately at the end of the day is responsible for that. And we know that there's a lot of very skillful hands that touch the freight along that journey, but at the end of the day, it's leadership who is orchestrating, setting the scene, and assuming responsibility, right? So I want to know that my freight and my goods of value are in great hands, right? And so if we can get leadership to get out there, and what does that look like? I don't know. It might look like they're developing their own personal brand a little bit more on LinkedIn and trying to engage and connect with the company page. Or it might look like they're writing some things for the website, some content for the website. It might look just like executive summaries on an About Us page on the website goes a long way. But, I think it also takes some of the sterility out of the industry and the environment and the brand when you bring people in, right? Yeah. Isn't it just more interesting? Don't you want to know who's making decisions and who's in charge? And
people do business with people they know and trust.
Yes.
And the best way until you get an opportunity to sit down with someone to build that is through online.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the stuff I do with the podcast and on the insurance side.
Yeah.
Since I've been more active on mostly LinkedIn and obviously YouTube is a big part of what we do with the podcast, but I get a lot of folks just reaching out and say, hey, I love your content, or I love this conversation, or I want to learn more about this. But it's kind of, it's almost a magnet almost, right? It helps when they feel more connected to me or to an idea or to some new opportunity that we're talking about. And so it's a great way to cut through the noise and kind of get them, warm that cold lead up so that when you do get the chance to sit down and talk to them, it's a much different conversation.
Right. And we don't want to miss the mark a little bit. So a lot of our education and my thought leadership journey is about, hey, you need to get out in front of your customers digitally earlier. But let's not miss the mark on that because, the if you kind of take it back to how people believe they do business in this industry, it's trust, it's a handshake, right? It's a reputation. So let's not miss the mark on the recommendation is to get out online in front of your customers earlier.
Yep.
But let's not do that in like a sterile sort of void of personality way.
Yes.
Right? Like let's put you out there. Let's get your voice. Let's get your perspective on how your business runs and how you do business, right? Yep. And let's bring that like humanity back to it and the culture and the people kind of focused way of telling about your brand and your business.
Did you catch that point? You said your voice. Like we can all see the long dashes on AI. Like, it's not fooling you anymore. So use the tool, use AI to help you, but then clean it up so that it is in your tone, the style you would say it.
Yes.
Because I think that's the other part now is that we're all kind of looking to see, is this really Stephanie saying this?
And you can catch it. Yeah.
Like that.
And we talked about this in the marketing coaching session in the huddle, which was, there was a lot of conversation and questions about the use of AI. But I was asked like, well, do you recommend it? Do you use it for content creation? Absolutely. Of course we should use it. It's a wonderful piece of technology. It can analyze data and information from so much from everywhere so quickly and help distill it down into what we're looking for. But we need our human judgment and our creativity and our strategic kind of perspective on the front and the back end of whatever AI creates for us, right? And so I think we all have read enough articles about AI to know that it's not going to, give us emotional intelligence. It's not going to give us the perspective that we carry with us from decades of expertise in this industry, right? And it's not going to give us like really new creative thinking, right? And so we need to and it doesn't give like our personality or our voice, right? So we need to add those things in, at least at minimum as bookends on the front and back end of whatever kind of brand messaging or campaign you're creating, your social media posts, your emails, right? You need to add those layers in.
Yeah. Love that.
Yep.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit here.
Okay.
Because you built out a nice organization, and every organization needs good team members.
Yeah.
Right. And so I know you're very proud of the team you built. So when someone is working with Alter Marketing, talk about your team and kind of the layers involved in how you work with someone. And also, I'm just interested to learn, like when you're looking for team members from a marketing standpoint, what makes one stand out? Like what are the unique skill sets and things that you're looking for? Maybe there's someone out there that is not ready to kind of hire you yet. Maybe they're still trying to find someone on their own. So what are the things that you're looking for that are valuable assets to the organization?
Well, first of all, I love my team so much. I have always felt like it is the people who I have been fortunate enough to surround myself with and engage with as a business owner that's allowed the business to be successful to date, right? And I think business leaders, we all know that, and we believe it's the people, right? And it truly is just a wonderful gift to find, experts in their field. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for someone who is committed to having expertise in freight transportation and logistics, right? And that can mean that they have prior experience in it, or that could mean that they're hungry to learn about it and they're committed to putting in the time. We always give a budget for discovery and learning in the industry. So my team is paid to become experts in logistics and to stay experts, because you can't just say, "Oh, I know about the industry," and that was, and then now I'm done learning about it. Like that just doesn't happen for any of us, right? So we invest in that, right? Obviously, expertise in marketing, and there's so many different skill sets, and my team all wears multifunctional hats. But we do have certain areas where there's focus. So we have, account and creative direction, right? So for that, I look for people who are wonderful communicators, who are organized, who are strategic, creative, right? And then we have our creative production teams. And those are the teams that are actually like creating the collateral, creating the assets. And obviously they need to be creative thinkers and artistic. But they also need to be a really good communicator. So communication is like a theme that kind of goes throughout the many different seats in our organization. My agency is fully remote. Everyone works from home. We're across the globe in different locations. We're everywhere from Greece to, Austin, Texas, to Maine, to Nashville, Tennessee, to, everywhere. And so Australia, right? So we really need to make sure that we're in lockstep in terms of when there's a client project that's being delivered on, and there's always multiple client projects being delivered on, that our communication is lockstep. So workflow is established, communication expectations are really clear, and they need to be met up front. And when you're working digitally, as so many of us do, you have to make sure that you have a workflow that you're following, but also that you are sort of adaptive and flexible to changes. Those are the things that we're looking for.
What's cool about it, because as you're saying, every one of your customers may be at a different step in that journey. And so you have the bandwidth to kind of support them, right?
Yes.
Maybe it's just starting off, kind of you said, as an email campaign, all the way to, hey, we're going to create this whole new, creative collateral piece. And maybe it turns into some type of commercial that we shoot to target the medical industry, or et cetera. So, and you have to, in today's world, you have to have that diversity of skill sets and capabilities to really execute, because this industry's fast, changing so fast. You got customers of all different sizes and goals, and so you have to be able to kind of solve the problem, kind of meet them where they are.
Yes, 100%.
What would you say to, if I'm an owner, and we're going to see a lot at this conference we're at coming up here at ECA.
Yep.
Let's say I'm going to give a scenario. I'm an owner and I'm running a $10 million business, and I'm operating in a couple of states, and I really want to grow and expand into another 2 markets over the next 12 to 18 months.
Yep.
And I'm really not doing much at all from a marketing standpoint today. I'm really kind of doing the LinkedIn posts here or there. I got maybe an email list, but I don't really do it consistently.
Yeah.
What's my starting point?
Okay. So you have a very specific and ambitious goal and a pretty quick turnaround time. 12 to 18 months, I would say, is a pretty quick turnaround time to kind of launch, services in these 2 markets, 2 new markets, right? So I would say that kind of establishes you firmly in the more aggressive stage of investment for that period of time. Okay. So let's say that we're looking at 2 to 3 years of investment at an aggressive level, which is let's call it 8 to 10% of annual gross revenue. Okay. And if you can wrap your mind around that and start to think about all right, the very first thing, and the blueprint or the play is still really simple. Let's check in with your brand. Let's do that readiness audit. Let's make sure that your foundation and how people identify you as a brand is crystal clear wherever they're looking. So we do the logo, the messaging, the website. It doesn't mean they all need to be redone. We just need to look at them, right, and see what needs to be fine-tuned so that everything is in lockstep, right? Clean, modern, accessible, right, and consistent across all of those various pieces of collateral or assets, right? And then from there, if your investment level is at that 10%, we're still going to go brand, then we're going to go email marketing, and then we're going to set up your content marketing and SEO and AEO engine, right? Yep. And that looks like, looking at your online content that you're creating monthly. And, we have one monthly theme. We write one blog or a couple of articles. We do your social media posts that tie into that theme. We do, at that level, you're going to do 2 to 4 emails that tie into that theme, right? And that's separate from your other email drip campaigns. This is just about that content. Okay. And the whole purpose of all of that is to start to create that lead generation and that discovery online. You're going to get that going pretty early, right? And then from there, we move into paid. So we're going to go paid LinkedIn campaigns, be really strategic about them. The interesting thing about paid LinkedIn campaigns is that they're great for brand awareness in B2B. They don't do a whole lot for converting to new sales. So you just have to know that going in. But brand awareness is still a really important play for you, right? So you're just investing in it, and you're not measuring leads or conversions. You're going to measure impressions and reach, right? And you're going to be looking for those things.
That's a huge call out there. I think people miss that because everyone, and I work with some companies too, and I'll show them stats on just working with us. I'm saying, look how many impressions we generated from this. Like, we didn't get any business. I'm like, but that wasn't really the goal. You got to look at how much your brand's getting out there, how many people are now seeing whatever content we put out there.
Yes.
And that lays the foundation of what we'll continue to build upon.
Yes. Yeah. And if you kind of have the master plan or the blueprint strategically set up front, then you understand that paid LinkedIn campaign sits here in your playbook, right? And it's supposed to feed into brand awareness and trust and identity. And you have other things that are leading to conversions, right? We're going to layer in our paid media and our Google search campaigns, right? And we're going to establish, we're going to create those case studies that are going to be great for conversions. We're going to get those out there. And the email nurture campaigns, excellent for conversions. We're going to get that out there, right? So we have the same kind of master plan or playbook. That's our strategic approach. And we believe in it. And how far we get along to play 4, 5, or 6 really just depends on how aggressive or invested you want to be for your specific goals. So at that, the scenario that you just gave me, we're going to go all the way, and we're going to try to get all those things done within the first year, and then just let it cook, basically, right? And let it do its thing for year 2. And then check in, how we doing, all those midpoints, every month you're going to do a check-in, you're tweaking, you're optimizing things. But I would say that's a full-scale approach. And so you're going to have that investment level be about 10% of your estimated annual gross revenue. That's the recommendation. And that's going to feel like a big number to people in this industry. I'm just letting you know.
It's a tight, low-margin industry, as you're well aware of.
It is. And so what we are trying to do is we're trying to say, well, not like, guess what? You need to spend more on marketing, but you're trying to create this much pipeline. At the end of the day, let's look at what that value is in pipeline, sales pipeline, and how do we kind of back out into what does our marketing investment need to look like to get there?
Got it.
So if we can start with that number, then it makes a lot more sense. Your investment makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
And what I appreciate about what you're saying is, I think in today's world, we all get caught up in trying to go viral. Like we want this one clip, this one video to bring a million views. But the reality is, marketing is much like building a house. You have to start with the foundation, then build your frame, ultimately put your roof on top, right? And so you have to understand that this is it's a process.
Yeah.
And even if you were able to go viral and get some immediate views or impressions or whatever, oftentimes it's not sustainable.
Yes.
Right. And so you're kind of you're probably not really getting the real long-term value out of that.
Yeah.
And so that's a really big call out, because people need to understand it does take time to do it the right way. But as you said earlier, it will pay dividends for you for many years to come.
That's right. I just want to point out my brother's company that, that I initially was doing the freelance work with, and we did it for many years. Like, let's say there was about 7 years of invested content marketing. We took a break from that for about a year and a half. From the full investment in it, so to allocate that money elsewhere. But the engine, it just kept bringing in the same volume of leads of the same quality, because there was so much investment in it for such a long time. So it doesn't mean that you're committed for absolutely forever to just paying this machine to do this work for you. The whole idea of organic search optimization, whether it's AI search or traditional search engines, is that you're setting up, you're putting down roots so that it starts paying returns even when you kind of scale back budget a little bit. So, yep.
All right, this has been a great conversation, but I can't let you get out of here until you answer the question.
Okay, what's that? Okay.
So it's your personal or professional last-to-first moment. So you've had a lot of unique experiences. We didn't get into your education much, but you have a BS in economics from UCLA.
Yes.
You have a master's in education from NYU.
Yes.
Educated. And you have diverse experiences teaching in public schools.
Yep.
So I know you bring all these things to your kind of your arsenal of skill set. But when you think about your last-to-first moment, and that moment that kind of put you on the trajectory where you are today, what would that be for you?
Whew, that's a really, really good question. I think that it happened somewhere when I agreed to take on the second account after working freelance with my brother's business for so long. I think that was a decision where it was kind of like, all right, getting out of a little bit of the safety zone or the safety net, and my brother actually encouraged me to do that. He kind of saw where I was heading and maybe some potential there. And he's well versed in the needs of the industry. And I think that he was like, hey, this is a good match. Like, there's a need. Yep. You've got this unique, niche focused skill set. I think it's time to spread your wings a little bit and like get out there and start trying to do this with other companies too. And I really appreciated that. And then my dad had the same conversation with me. Hey, I know that you're really busy and that it seems kind of impossible to think about starting a business, but there's a need. People are knocking on your door. Like, you've already got customers lined up. You just need to say yes to them. And I think for me, there was just so much blank space out there. The canvas was like, it was almost like, I don't know how I'm going to do this just yet, but it's like one of those moments where you just have to kind of do the lean in thing and say, I'm going to say yes. And I trust that I can figure it out with the right people. And that is where the gift of my incredible team comes into play. I've got my business partner, Hopi. She is, she's been a longtime friend and ally of mine in all walks of life, but she's a marketer, career marketer, and I knew that I could tap into her expertise. And luckily, it was great timing for her to come on board and start building the brand and the business with me from its earliest seed stages. And then from there, just wonderful opportunities. I met with Alex, the second business partner that we made. My creative team, some freelancers had already been working with me, but we had a talk about this is a bigger investment, and I want you to be committed to the industry and committed to our client base. And I just feel like it was just such a wonderful opportunity to then say, I see this opportunity. I know we need to take it. I'm not sure of all the answers. And I usually like to be really buttoned up, so it's going to feel like messy, but let's just do it. Like, let's just take the jump and know that if I surround myself with the right people, we're going to get there. And sure enough, I'm so glad that was the decision that I made with that encouragement. So yeah, that's the moment.
How many years ago was that?
That was 2021, I would say.
About 5 years later.
And then by 2022, it was a formal business and brand. And then 4 years of really successful, wonderful growth and opportunities to not only actually support our customer base with marketing services, but to try to get involved in a leadership way in the industry and provide education. We like to think of ourselves as an ally and advocate for marketing in the industry. Yeah. So providing that educational piece is something that's important to us.
You're very involved in the industry, several associations.
Yes.
I think it's a good tie out to what you just said to this kind of summarizing our conversation, because you have to lean in, you have to take that first step.
Yep.
But even in your case, you were kind of laying the foundation of your marketing in your freelance world.
Yes.
So you had generated interest, a lot of warm leads.
Yes.
So by the time you were ready to kind of jump off the porch, what we say back home.
Jump off the porch. Exactly.
the porch.
Right.
You had a lot of customers and support around you. So it's no doubt that you found success on your own right, because you are a very successful person. I love the fact that you are really focused in on this industry, because we need more people to really understand the power of marketing, and particularly in the lens of transportation and what we do and how we service our clients, because there's so many great stories and opportunities out there. We just got to tell them a little broader.
100%.
Yep. So Steph, thank you for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Jason.
Thank you for working with me in the huddle and you're one of the huddle coaches. And so thank you for your support there. It's been a pleasure to see you.
Always so much fun.
Yep. See you work. And so we got to do this again.
100%. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was a great conversation.
All right. That's Stephanie Alter with Alter Marketing. I'm Jason Burns, and we are out. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.
Thank you.